Thank you. Something I haven't dwelt upon is that this is a fairly low-budget program. It's public television. Sometimes we can afford to fly a guest in from faraway places, but often we have to be alert to when they're going to be in town anyway, and then we grab them while they're here. My guest tonight is a perfect example of this. When we heard that Elaine Stritch was going to be in town from London for a Cole Porter tribute at Lincoln Center, we grabbed as fast as we could. Elaine Stritch is one of those people who made Broadway what it was in the 50s and 60s. On stage, in shows like Bus Stop, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Company, and off stage, she's an incredible character. She's ebullient, she's outspoken. She admittedly had a drink now and then in the New York Broadway scene, and she's 9 years ago she resettled, however, in London, and a lot of the electricity went out of Broadway when she went over there. I was at a party one time where she just came in like the Marx Brothers and the Ritz Brothers, and I saw the legendary Stritch at her finest. Anyway, in London, she's settled a bit. She's starred in various plays. She's become a top-rated television personality. She has gotten married, and she has given up drinking. Now, none of these unfortunate developments, I'm happy to report, have affected her humor, nor have they come near her joie de vivre. No one knows where she keeps it, but she's certainly got it, as you will hear a little later in the song when she lets loose with her singing style. Anyway, will you welcome, please, before I go on too long, the irrepressible, is she being repressed? Elaine Stritch. Hello. Have a chair.
I love the order that you put all those things that I've stopped and started.
I didn't pay much attention to the order.
Well, I did all the good stuff, and then you said stop drinking. I guess that's what was missing in my life, all those nice things.
Oh,
I mean, I was getting it from a dry martini, and then all the real things in the world started to happen, so who needs a martini, right?
Well, what is your philosophy on that? Since you brought it up, I didn't bring it up.
I didn't bring it up. You came out here and just told everybody. I don't see why I don't go home.
I don't know.
No, that was a lovely introduction.
I thought it...
And I don't want to disappoint you, but I do walk a little slower in London.
You do? I
do. I feel that it's a much quieter kind of existence, and I like it because, oh my God, the 20 years I spent in this town. I come back to this city, and it's just amazing. I mean, I was here in the 50s and the 60s, and just before about 1970, I left and went to live in London. I went with Company. So that was a nice entree.
The show Company.
Yes, the show. Oh, I went with Company.
With Company sounds like
I went with a musical comedy that Hal Prince produced and directed, and so it was a very nice plane ticket, I can tell you. And I had been there in 1961 with Noel Coward in a musical, and I kind of fell in love with the country subconsciously, but I didn't do anything about it. And then I had work commitments back in America, so I came back. But it was always back there someplace that I would like to live there. And my mother's parents are from Wales, and my father's parents are from Kerry in Ireland. So I didn't lick it off the ground, I think. It's a little bit of... Does anybody know what that expression means before I get in big
I don't know
trouble?
What that means at all. I'm almost afraid to ask.
No, I didn't. Certainly you've all heard that. When someone does something like their parents do, you say, well, she didn't lick that off the ground. Oh, dear.
No one has ever heard that.
All right, next case.
Wait a minute. Seriously, has anyone heard that, Hans?
No, not a soul.
No, no.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there's someone, but that's probably
well,
somebody.
Well, they say it a lot in England, I can tell you. So there you are.
Well, you haven't become stately and tedious, I can see.
Oh, no. It's just that England takes a little longer to get bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they take a long time to... They're just kind of behind. They do everything a little slower. I don't want that to sound negative, but I mean...
No.
It's just it's a pace that I like, and I love the theater in England, and they like me. Let's not horse around here. I mean,
no, they really do like
tell the truth. Why in the world would you leave any place where you know, where they like, and I love the Queen and all that, falderall and curtsying and going to command performances and all that. It's like a fairy book. It really is. It's lovely.
Well, you're the toast of the town there.
Well,
and
no,
have been for...
let's not say that. The English people love Americans if you level with them. You mustn't try to fool them. You must be very straightforward in your humor, and you must be very honest. And they took to me because I guess my lack of inhibitions appealed to them, because the English people are a little more inhibited than we are, I think. And I smoke. I know it's terrible to smoke, but I've given up so many things.
You have so...
My theme song is "They Can't Take That Away from Me." I want to do a few of these a day. Does anybody mind?
Well, I think you should indulge in whatever few vices you have left. I mean, of that sort.
I have a compliment for you. I have a compliment for you, and I think it would be good sense to tell you on your show.
Well, it isn't required, but...
No.
Go right ahead.
But I'm doing this Cole Porter thing, and so you know, it's for charity, so you say to everybody you meet, well, are you going to come to the Cole Porter show because it's for charity? And they say, well, I went last year, and I told them I was in it, and they pay no attention to that at all. They say, well, I went last year. I don't think... And I say, Dick Cavett's going to tap dance, and the tickets just go. I've sold 12 tickets on the strength of your tap dance. You are going to tap dance.
Me?
Something. Aren't you dancing in the...
I'm appearing in a number.
And you're going to do a little tap
I think there are some steps involved.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, anyway, I just wanted to let you know that.
But you say, when you mentioned this, people sold their tickets?
No, Dick. You can't turn this around. It's impossible.
I didn't follow that. You said they went like that with their tickets.
They bought them.
Oh, I thought they were throwing them.
I told them I've got to tell this all over. You all got it, didn't you?
Yes.
Why don't I explain it to Dick Cavett after the show?
Yes.
And we'll press on.
I must have licked that off the ground. I don't know. That's a very inelegant and yet expressive expression.
I
think
you think
I like
about it a lot.
I'm wondering what kind of digs you have. Digs you have over in...
Oh, digs. Well, my husband always says that whenever I tell anybody where we live, it costs him the dinner check. We live at the Savoy Hotel. Have you all heard of the Savoy Hotel?
Yes. Is that the Savoy Hotel?
The Savoy Hotel on the Strand in London. And Noel Coward introduced me to that hotel, and I lasted a week because it was very expensive. And then when I did his show over there, and then I got into digs, proper digs. I mean, improper digs.
A flat, perhaps.
That's right, a flat, perhaps. But I went back to the Savoy when I went there in company, and they liked me, and I do some publicity for the hotel because of the success of my series, and if we ever mention a hotel on the series, it's always the Savoy. But I mean, I love that hotel, and they're very fond of me, and we have a rate.
Oh, I see.
A very nice rate. And one time, an English newspaper man from the Daily Express in London was interviewing me, and you know they talk a lot about money. Of course, everybody talks about money these days, but there's a lot of talk about money from interviewers. They say to me, "How can you afford to live at the Savoy Hotel?" He was terribly British, very British, and I said, "I do the 6th and 7th floor rooms before I leave in the morning." And he wrote it down, and right into the paper it went. But they play everything straight over there, you know. He didn't get that as a joke at all.
Yes. You know, I was put up there one time, and they put me in some British television company was paying for it, a rate, I guess I must have had. And the bathroom, nothing in the bathroom worked.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was
How long ago was this,
And it was
Dick?
the Chaplain's suite. And
the Charlie Chaplin suite.
Yeah, and now whether he tried to flush his derby or what, I don't know. But here I was at the Savoy, this legendary hotel, but I had to go...
worked in the bathroom.
I had to go down the hall, so to speak.
Did they knock a little off of your rate?
They must have.
I'll look into that as soon as I get back.
But in hundreds of British films, it seems, there's the scene in which the taxi pulls up in front of the Savoy.
Oh, yes. It's very elegant, and it's very old world, and they're trying to hold on to all the tradition. And I remember a marvelous story about the Savoy that almost was unbelievable. When I first stayed there, I had a button missing on my blouse, and so I put it on an ashtray. And I went out shopping, and I came back, and the maid had found the blouse and sewed the button on. I just couldn't believe it. So that's the kind of service. As a matter of fact, this is, well, you say I don't want to plug anything. This is very sincere. I'm staying at a hotel in New York that really runs a close second is the Carlyle. And people ask me how I like New York this time, and I say it looks pretty good from the window at the Carlisle. We saved our money for a long time for this, and we just splurged, and I feel like Jackie Onassis.
What?
I really do. It's unbelievable to walk out on Madison Avenue, and somebody says, don't you think New York is getting scary? And I said, no, it's lovely where I am. It's just terrific. But
What is your husband in the business?
Yes, my husband is an actor.
Shook hands with him, but I didn't know.
Yes, he's an actor, and he's a very fine painter, and he does a bit of writing, and he's adorable. I really am very fond of him, and it took me 45 years to find him. It's true, I got married at 45, and then don't ask me how long I've been married, because that's the oldest trick in the world, to find out everything. I met John...
I wouldn't be able to figure it out anyway. I'm very slow.
I met John in Harold's show spot. When I was in Bus Stop. Briefly, I was going with Ben Gazzara, and somebody said, this is John Bay, and I said, how do you do? Could I have a Heineken's, please? And 22 years later, I married him in England. I think that's kind of romantic. And he said, I said, no, wait a minute. I said, if you're married to me now, didn't you have the slightest attraction for me in Harold's show spot? And he said, well, you were with Ben Gazzara, and I didn't want to get into that Italian thing.
So
he knew that Ben was a Sicilian, so he just said, how do you do? And waited.
22 years later, it all worked out.
And we met in a Tennessee Williams play in London. We did Small Craft Warnings.
Oh, yeah.
And
how did that go there? Because that had a mixed
well.
reception here, and it's one of those curious things that a play that does have
sometimes we'll go here.
Tepid reaction over here. We'll go, as they say, like a bomb, which means to go well.
Yeah, it's the opposite meaning in London. When they say a show is a bomb, it means it's terrific.
Elaine, do you know, I was shocked to find out, speaking of money, what the actual fact is of how much people who work in England are taxed. And when you hear about all of these people who've moved out of that country and had to take up homes in Ireland and Switzerland and so on, it's astounding, the amount of tax.
I know. I pay 100% taxes to Great Britain, the UK, and America. And we used to have a $25,000 allowance, like you didn't pay taxes until after $25,000. That's gone now. So I look at it with the philosophy is I'm paying the piper to live in the country that I really enjoy working in. I love my country, number one, but I love to live in that country so far as my work is concerned. I like the pace, and I like the theater, and I like the fact that all the mediums are all there, the television, the theater. You don't have to go on an airplane to do a movie.
You can do everything in one town.
It's very nice, very nice.
At the risk of getting serious for a moment, what did make you give up drinking?
Well, I wish I was doing 2 shows with you, because that's a whole half hour.
Is it?
Oh, sure. It's a week. My drinking was overrated in this country. I was a kind of a person who had a wonderful time all my life. I did not have a superstar goal. I didn't wear blinders. I wanted to live my life. I didn't want to go home every night after my performance and prepare for the next one. I wanted to go out and meet people and talk to people. I had a wonderful life, and I was full of life, and still am, and joy and fun. And I think, to be honest about myself, I think it was a little bit overdone about, oh, Elaine, she's a live wire, and she kicks her heels up and all that nonsense. I did, but I was having a good time, and I think sometimes in the world, when you have a good time, people wonder why. Why is she having such a good time? She's talented, and I am talented. I'm not afraid to say that. But I'm talented, so she's talented, so should she have fun, too? I don't know whether she should have a good time and be talented.
It's almost undemocratic to do
That's
both.
right. And, of course, I stayed up too late, and I sat in P.J. Clark's till 5 o'clock in the morning, but my God, I learned a lot. I can tell you. And I got a job through booze once. In a way, I got a job with Peter Falk on his series. You remember The Trials of O'Brien? A waiter came up. I met Peter Falk, and he was looking for some girl to play his secretary. And I met him in P.J. Clark's, and he said, sit down. And I sat down, and he said, what do you want to drink? And I said, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I said, I'd like a double Beefeater martini with a lemon twist and an olive and a floor plan. And I got the job in the series, you see.
That's just what he was looking for.
Sure, just what he was looking for.
But you didn't need the drink to come up with that line.
No, I had one before I said the line.
Oh, I see.
And what I have found from not drinking, I've come full circle, which is something I always kind of secretly knew I would. Dick, a little bit serious, I got mad at myself. I got mad at myself because I found that I suddenly realized one day that drinking was a crutch. A little bit, and I think all those added things we have in life are a crutch. I was scared. I'm writing a book, and I know in one chapter I say I was so frightened of everything, and the first time my father made me a whiskey sour, I silently said to myself, I have found a real friend here. Because the result of drinking the whiskey sour was so terrific. I just lost all my inhibitions, and I, could talk at the dinner table, and I didn't let my older sisters upstage me, and I just was full of life, just one whiskey sour. So I thought, if that can do that, imagine what two would be like. My God, I could be president, you see. So, and I promise you, everything that frightened me, I took a drink. Everything that frightened me, I had a drink, and it worked. I don't want to promote it because, that's bad news. You should find everything from your gut. You shouldn't have to find it from something like that. But, as I started to say before, I said in my book, I drank everything that bored me and everything that interested me and everything that frightened me. And I hated school, and I put in my book that I passed Caesar on red wine and Cicero on white wine. Because it's really true. When I say, oh my God, I've got an exam, I'd take a bottle of wine up to my room and I'd drink it and learn like that. And
As a
get
kid? I mean,
well, 15. Well, you don't take Cicero at 7.
Well, might have been advanced school.
Cicero at 7.
And this was a
Sunsets and blossom. No, really, it was when I was 15, 16. Yeah. I had that whiskey sour, not when I was... Yeah.
But why didn't you become a booze-ridden hag?
Well, because I was too smart for that. I used to sneak 6 months and not drink and get a lot of rest. I was a sneaky Pete about
you
things.
You did that.
Because I had a wonderful feeling about self-preservation. I have a life wish, and I want to live and I want to look good and everything.
Well, it would be too personal to ask were you in fact alcoholic in any sense?
Well, I stopped drinking through AA, and let everybody hear what I have to say now. That is the most glorious organization that I've ever come in contact. The people in AA are the kind of people I've been looking for all my life. They are selfless. They're just so unselfish and so caring that I almost... it made it all dramatic and interesting to stop drinking. I will say right to this day that I'm not sure whether I'm an alcoholic or not. What I think I have done is stop drinking from my head because I was mad at myself that I had to depend on something to get my talent and my ability and all the good things I felt I had to offer. And I have been so happy since I cut it out and have gotten such satisfaction. Then, 2 years later, I became a diabetic. And I thought I knew I shouldn't have stopped drinking, but I became a diabetic, and I was all ready for the doctor when he walked into the hospital room, and he told me I had diabetes. And, I associated that with you mustn't drink because it's full of sugar, liquor. And actually it isn't. Diabetics can have a little dry white wine or, a little whiskey, as long as they don't have too much. But I was all ready to say, when he said no, I thought he was going to say nothing. And I was so proud because I'd been 2 years without a drink. And he came in and said, now, if you drink, Elaine, you can have it. I said, no, I was so mad that I didn't have that moment of saying, I don't drink it. He robbed me of a moment. But I got along just fine. The only thing that frightened me about diabetes, it's a nuisance. It's an extra makeup case. And it frightened me a little because I had to inject myself. And I said to myself, I will never be able to do that.
They gave you the willies.
Yes, but I learned, and if we got time, God, I'd love to tell you this. They sent a nurse in to teach me how to inject myself. And I was practicing on oranges and lemons, for 2 weeks, and that got kind of boring. Terrified. I mean to tell you, I said to my husband, I've got to go to a home now. I can't do this. And John, my husband, is practicing on them, saying, oh, there's nothing to this. And I was scared to death of him because I wanted him to get it right in case I couldn't do it. All in all, I've gotten along pretty good, and I used to pack up a little brandy to come to a show like this, and now I pack up prunes and apricots and yogurt and my insulin and my needles and go to Mr. Vincent and have my hair done, and that's what I had to go through to get to you today, and I just have loved it, every minute of it.
Well, I think we should start the show now.
All right.
There was a remarkable documentary. It's interesting in our business how one person's misfortune can be somebody else's good luck.
Yes.
And there isn't really time to go into all of this, but there was a legendary recording session where you worked so hard to get a song right.
Oh, Aquarius, the making of the company album, the making of the company.
Women Who Lunch, was it?
Here's to the Ladies Who Lunch. It really was.
Ladies Who Lunch.
It took so long to get that number on a record so it would mean something, so it wouldn't be just a song. And when I saw it, Dick, I've never been so frightened in my life. You don't wear makeup to a recording session, do you? No, nobody sees you. And so you work hard. And then I realized that Penny Baker, the cameraman, had little walkie-talkies, and they're doing this film.
Yeah, they were making a cinema verite documentary, I guess, of the...
And I want to tell you, I scrubbed my face that morning and no makeup, and I went down there and tried to sing that song, and I always said I looked like I was Margaret Rutherford doing The Life of Judy Garland. Oh, it was terrible. But then it was nice at the end because it got to the point where I just could not get it. I couldn't get it right. So Stephen Sondheim said to me, we won't do it tonight. We'll do it next Wednesday before the matinee, and we'll lay a track under you. You all know what that means. I mean, they...
Put the sound in.
Put the sound in. And then I was on my way to the Alvin to do the show, so my hair was all done, and I had makeup on, so it was kind of a Pygmalion story. It was like before and after. And so, but oh my God, I look terrible. It's just awful what you go through in this business.
And all of your suffering made a wonderful documentary for the company that was making the film. Yeah.
Can I say something about you? Be quiet.
Wait, it's time to go.
I know. Oh, it's all over.
Yeah,
I just want to say one thing, that I think it is so marvelous to have a man do a talk show that's really interested in the person that he's talking to, don't you? I really do.
Well, thanks to what's her name, and thanks, Elaine. You're wonderful. It's good luck having you back. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.